Hello, Dr. Suruchi, can you hear me?
Yes. Good evening, Dr. Sanjay.
Hello, good evening. I'm just trying to check if everything is working fine.
Yeah, sure.
Good evening, Dr. Suruchi. Good evening, Dr. Sanjay.
Uh,
Good evening.
Dr. Sanjay, our principal is there to greet you.
Oh, that's a wonderful thing. Thank you so much, sir. Welcome, sir. Welcome.
Do we believe in the things we cannot see? Yes, perhaps. We believe in the supernatural. We believe in the tiniest atoms and molecules that we cannot see. Yet, we study extensively about them and give them due attention, don't we? However, an illness which, though does not show any visible and common symptoms, but still affects thousands of people worldwide, has not garnered adequate recognition from us. It gnaws the victims from inside, even though they may seem fine from the outside. The darkness that houses within the people suffering from a mental illness, and to promote mental health, it requires more sunlight, more candor, and more unashamed conversations. Following the same lines, the theme for this year is mental health in an unequal world. एक असामान्य दुनिया में मानसिक स्वास्थ्य. A very good evening to respected Principal Sir, Vice Principal Sir, our eminent speaker for the workshop, Dr. Sanjay Kumar, revered teachers, and all our dear participants. This is Anushka Man,
And this is Sanidhya Sharma.
and we are delighted to welcome you all on behalf of the Department of Chemistry, Ramjas College, University of Delhi, to an enlightening international workshop to celebrate World Mental Health Day. I would like to announce that owing to the limitations on Google Meet platform pertaining to the number of participants, we are also going live on YouTube, the link for which can be accessed from the poster. It is said that ignorance shadows our horizons and withholds the flower of wisdom from blooming. And where there is no spring of knowledge, there lies only dormancy. Therefore, let us begin today's program by kindling the flame of wisdom within us through the auspicious lamp lighting ceremony. I request our guest speaker, respected Principal Sir, Vice Principal Sir, and my mentors to kindly allow me to begin the ceremony.
Yes, please start.
Thank you, sir. When darkness comes our way, we shall seek to illuminate rather than cursing the gloom. When ignorance clouds our eyes, we shall seek to drive it away with the lamp of knowledge. On this note, let us give this webinar a fresh start. It is said that leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality. Our respected principal sir, Dr. Manoj Kumar Khanna, truly exemplifies this phrase. With his never-ending quest for doing bigger and better, and with his able support, the college has reached heights of glory time and again. It is his vision that has been transforming into a beautiful reality and has provided all of us with a platform to bring out the best version of ourselves. Sir, I warmly welcome you to the workshop and I request you to kindly share some encouraging words with all of us.
Thank you, Anushka. First of all, I welcome Dr. Sanjay Kumar, who is the Assistant Director of Center of Psychological Research, Oxford Brookes University, Oxford, to the Ramjas College. And I'm very thankful to our team also, all, organizers, students, all stakeholders who are involved in this process of, organizing this event. Because I know that we are living in the pandemic and we know that this is the need of art. How to tackle with, especially the pandemic, we are dealing with how to deal with the situation. And these kind of things that, psychological problems are aggravating, especially in this pandemic period. And how to cope up with this pressure. And I think this is the best platform that we have provided, and will interact with the Professor Sanjay Kumar also. We will come to know about his ideas. And we know that today is the World Mental Health Day, where I know that India is supposed to be the biggest depression capital of the world. Maximum cases of depression are reporting from India. And we have to come out with some of the ideas, new innovative ideas, and how to deal with, how to cope up with the pressure. This is basically the pressure situation and how we come out of this pressure situation. And in pandemic, we have seen that we have come out of this situation very well. In last 1.5 years to approximately 2 years, we have dealt with the situation also, and we are facing. We are innovating with the innovating ideas. We are combating all the problems that we are facing, and I can assure you that with a quote that the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dream matching with their capabilities. And we have to tune according to the need of an art. And this is the need of an art to tackle with the situation. Our new education policy also, the basic theme of the new education policy is to strengthen our youth in such a way that psychologically, ethically, morally they are strong. If they are psychologically strong, morally strong, physically strong, they can tackle with any kind of situation. And that is the basic theme of new education policy also. So we are working on that. And Dr. Sanjay, let me tell you that we at the Ramjas College, we are taking all the steps, required steps to bring out the best possible talent of our youth in the present world. And this is just because this is possible just because of the enthusiasm and zeal and the coordinated efforts of our faculty, students, and all stakeholders. So once again, I'm thankful to all the organizers, especially Suruchi ma'am, coordinators, Savita, Dr. Hemant, who is our vice principal also, and all the student organization. I can see that students have put in all the efforts to organize this event at this hour also. So we are present. This is the only because of this online learning, we are dealing with this kind of situation even at the evening also. So I again wish you all the success for this event also, and in future also will be benefited by the Professor Sanjay's remarks also for the how to deal with the pressure situation, how to handle these pressure situations, and I wish you all the success for the event also. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for illuminating us with your kind words. We always look forward to learning more under your able guidance, sir. I feel privileged to extend my warm welcome to our revered Vice Principal, sir, and IQAC Coordinator, Dr. Hemant Kumar Rajor, who has always guided and motivated us to step out of our comfort zone and expand our horizons. His hard work and perseverance are an inspiration for all of us. Sir, I humbly welcome you to this event and I request you to kindly share some words of wisdom.
Thank you, Anushka. Good evening to everyone present here, and good afternoon to Dr. Sanjay Kumar. It's my pleasure to welcome all the participants today for the international webinar on understanding mental health and dealing with it. I, Hemant Kumar Rajor, Vice Principal and IQAC Coordinator, Ramjas College, welcome our guest and eminent speaker, Dr. Sanjay Kumar, Assistant Director, Center for Psychological Research Group Leader, Research Group Cognition and Cognitive Neuroscience, Oxford, Brook University, Oxford, UK, to share his knowledge and vast experience in the field. We know that October 10 was first celebrated as World Mental Health Day in 1992 by the World Federation of Mental Health. We all know that nowadays we are facing a stress problem due to various reasons, and during pandemic time and post-pandemic, it is much more relevant now. I'm sure that we all will be benefited by this talk, how to recognize and overcome mental health problem. Once again, I welcome and thank you for your active participation. Thank you very much. Now it's to you, Anushka.
Thank you, sir, for enlightening us. We eagerly anticipate to hone ourselves with your support, sir.
भले ही इन दिनों मानसिक बीमारी आम है और किसी को भी प्रभावित कर सकती है, फिर भी इसे स्वीकार करने और डॉक्टरों से मदद लेने में हम शर्म महसूस करते हैं। आपको जानकर हैरानी होगी कि 15 से 30 बरस की उम्र में जो चीज सबसे ज्यादा जाने लेती है रोड एक्सीडेंट्स के बाद, वह है सुसाइड्स यानी आत्महत्या। मानसिक स्वास्थ्य को शारीरिक स्वास्थ्य से अलग नहीं किया जा सकता है। वे दोनों एक व्यक्ति के लिए समान रूप से महत्वपूर्ण हैं। आज हम 100 साल की जिंदगी 10 साल में जीने का प्रयास कर रहे हैं, और जाहिर सी बात है इसकी वजह से हम बहुत स्ट्रेस लेते हैं, हमें बहुत टेंशन होती है। लेकिन एक दवा है जो इस स्ट्रेस, इस टेंशन को भगा सकती है, इस दवा को आप जब चाहे ले सकते हैं। इसका ना कोई साइड इफेक्ट है, ना कोई ओवरडोज है, ना डॉक्टर की जरूरत पड़ती है और ना पैसे लगते हैं। इस दवा का नाम है हंसी। जिंदगी की दौड़ में भागते भागते हम अपनी पहचान, अपना वजूद ही भूल चुके हैं। हम भूल चुके हैं that life is a journey to be experienced, not a puzzle to be solved. इसी को ध्यान में रखते हुए आज के कार्यक्रम में आगे बढ़ते हैं और प्रयास करते हैं खुद को खुद से मिलाने की। Before we begin the talk, I would like to request all the participants to kindly keep their mics muted during the course of the lecture. Any questions pertaining to the lecture can be posted in the chat box or in the app, the link for which has been posted in the chat box itself. All the queries shall be addressed towards the end of the lecture. Now I request Dr. Savita Bar Gujjar ma'am, member of organizing committee, Ramjas College, to introduce the speaker, Dr. Sanjay Kumar.
Thank you, Sandhya. It's my privilege to introduce eminent speaker of the day, Dr. Sanjay Kumar. Dr. Sanjay Kumar, Assistant Director at the Center for Psychological Research and Group Leader for Research Group, Cognition and Cognitive Neuroscience at Oxford Brookes University, Oxford, UK, since 2013. He did his PhD in Clinical Psychology, Neuropsychology, and MA from University of Delhi. He started his career as a postdoctoral fellow at the University of Birmingham and then at the University of Oxford. He has wide interest in cognitive and clinical neuroscience. His area of expertise are neuropsychology, clinical psychology, cognitive neuroscience, EEG, ERP, and TMS. His recent focus is to understand how emotions are expressed by individuals with depression. He is a module leader, key contributor, and tutorial supervisor to several undergraduate and postgraduate students. His research interest includes brain-based processes in cognitive and clinical neuroscience. He has published many research articles in reputed journals and has been a member of many professional bodies like Practitioner Psychologist, the Health and Care Professional Council, Chartered Member of British Psychology Society, Senior Fellow of Advantage HE, Committee Member of British Association of Cognitive Neuroscience. He has been organizing pre-psychiatric assessment clinics in one of the remote part of India. With these words, I would like to invite eminent speaker of the day, Dr. Sanjay Kumar. Welcome, sir.
Okay, thank you, Savita. That's very profound words. And thank you, Principal Sir and Vice Principal Sir. I had been in contact with Dr. Suruchi, and I have received email from the organizing committee, which includes Sarita ma'am and Sarika ma'am too. And thank you, everyone. It's a really, really wonderful thing to organize these kind of events, considering the knowledge that we lack, particularly in Indian context, about mental health issues. A few things. I'm sure you might have clicked on the link. That is only an interactive aspect of the workshop come deliberation that we are going to have. And beside that, any other questions, if you have, you can put that in the chat box here. And one request from the organizers, just let me know 5 or 10 minutes before my time is due, because I won't be looking at the time, so that if I'm running a bit late, I will try to wrap it up. Okay. Besides that, Anushka, that was really wonderful. Very, very profound words and the clarity of expression that you had and the passion that you showed about awareness of mental health issues. That's really wonderful. And same for Sandhya. That's wonderful. The way you are showing those kind of passion, and I'm sure Ramjas College will be really, really pleased to have you as their students and after some time as their alumni. And thank you, sir, for giving those students an opportunity to be with you. Yeah, as you by now know that I did my master's, so I'm not unknown to Ramjas College or Ramjas College hostel either. I have stayed few days without being aware from the house masters or hostel masters that time. Okay, so I will start, and as I said that when I am just going over my time, please let me know, and I will try to wrap up quickly. Okay. Just to confirm, can you see my slides, please?
Yes, sir, we can.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and just to test the system, whether that link is working or not, do you have that link? If you just go on this webvox.app and put this ID or the link that you have been sent, just click on that and it should take you there. Okay, so I'm just trying to get your understanding and also try to test this, that particular system, whether it's working or not. Give me any option that you think might be correct. What percentage approximately mental ill health contributes to disability worldwide? And I will start the polling. Okay, and yeah, people are joining. There would be other opportunities for you to get involved. So let's see, I'm going to close this now. Okay, so the good thing is that no one is saying it's only 5%, and everyone is suggesting that it is much higher than that. I'm not much bothered about the correct response to this question, but just to have an awareness that how much disability it might cause. Or the correct answer is around 30%, but you have some idea that it could be much higher too. So that's good. What we know so far, or this is one of the very famous quotes from World Health Organization, that 1 in 4 people worldwide will experience a mental health problem at some point in their lives, right? And let's say we are around 60, 70 or 100 currently involved in this program. There is a potential that 10 or 15 or 20 of us may have some kind of mental health problem, or either in the future or are currently having some sort of problem. So it is that common. Okay, it is much more college-like situation, so I have tried to focus on that. You will have to write something, and this particular system, it takes only a single word. So either you can combine the phrases or you can retype a single word. So let's say a typical undergraduate student that comes to you and complains of poor memory, lack of concentration in his or her studies for past 3 weeks. What would you do if you are a teacher, you are a supervisor, or friend, or parent? Okay, so okay, so I will try to close the poll now, and let's see what responses do we get. Okay, there we go. Okay, so you will counsel, you will interact, you will ask to relax, some kind of help you would provide, consult doctor, take meditation. Okay, so there are some understanding that something is not quite right with that particular student. So what that could be? It's a very young age, 20. It cannot have any kind of degenerative problem. It has started suddenly, and it's more that I cannot concentrate. My memory is poor. So it is not something that is happening at the brain level in terms of the neurodegeneration or the typical dementia kind of pattern that you see. It is the very common presentation in Indian context, in a student group particularly, who are experiencing depression. It's very, very common presentation that I have come across. So if anyone comes to you asking, okay, I am not able to concentrate, my memory is poor, can you suggest something? The typical solution would be, okay, you can revise your questions like this, you can memorize like this, but no, that is not the solution. That particular person is having something else. And that's precisely someone has suggested that you will try to listen first. Try to find out what is happening with that individual. And eventually, you will realize that there is much wider issue, maybe having some problem at family, maybe some financial problem, maybe interpersonal relationship problem. And that effect is having on his or her studies. So just keep those things in mind. We know that mental health is not kind of black and white, rather than it is on a continuum. And continuum is that, okay, we are fully healthy, we have very good mental health, that's fine. But there might be some situation where you will have to react to those kind of changing demands in the environment. So it may lead you some irritability for some time. You might become a bit snappy, let's say with your parents or friends, because there is something happening with you. You might feel a bit tension, with headache. So these kind of things might happen. So you are just reacting to the changing environmental demands. But going beyond that, there might be some kind of injury to the person, or a person's be. That could be leading to anxiety, anger, pervasive sadness, and finally, that can even go much beyond into that, where there would be excessive anxiety, panic attacks, or those kind, and all of these kind of situations that requires different kind of uh, working through. You will use either your nature's support system. In reacting, you will recognize what is happening, why I'm being snappy, why I'm being irritable. So just try to recognize those things. If it goes beyond that, try to find out what exactly is happening. Talk to someone. And if there is some illness being shown, then a suggestion would be seek professional help and care. And this mental health, we always talk about that there is no single cause or causal factor to that mental illness. It is explained in terms of biopsychosocial model. Your biology is playing a role that could be associated with your age, sex, if there is any comorbid disease or diabetic complications, something like that. Psychological factors could be that someone is being unemployed, facing financial stress, there has been some negative life events. Social factors similarly could be socioeconomic status, the educational status that one has. So all those things that will contribute into development of a mental illness. So what we understand that there is a cumulative effect of all those risk factors. And if there are absence of protective factors, just give me a moment, I need some water, sorry. Sorry. Okay, so the main thing here is that there would be several risk factors, and if all those risk factors keeps adding up, and if there is absence of any protective factors, then mental illness might develop. What research has shown that even if there are early risk factors, let's say genetic risk factors or environmental factors, but if there is no additional hits, what we call as the sudden kind of those stress-related factors, a disorder might not ultimately develop. So recognize this. No matter what, some kind of additional stress would be needed to develop that mental illness. And let's consider the educational setting that we are in. You might have noticed bullying going around, victimization. And if you can address these issues, then you can prevent many of those mental illnesses. So here, what you see, that it is about the disability that these mental illnesses cause. And if you look at all ages, in first 25 causes that leads to a disability, 4 are related to mental health problems. Depression is quite high, headache, which could be migraine, or tension, headache, anxiety disorders. But if you consider 10 to 24 years of age, which is a typical student population, in first 10, you have 4, right? Headache, self-harm, depression, anxiety, and then you also have conduct disorders problem, drug abuse problems. So you can understand that how profound effect mental health issues have on any person's ability to function effectively. So I'm just taking the example again from the college setting or the work setting that we are typically in. What are those factors that are very common and that can be prevented? So some of the common factors have been considered as poor communication. Many times individuals, they don't know or don't feel that they know enough what is needed from them. What is that learning environment is asking them to do. They are not feeling properly supported. There might be some poor management practices, which many may not be aware of. Sometimes failing to explain roles or responsibilities. There is no clear reporting lines, that everyone seems to be acting as that they are the boss themselves and they have ability to control everyone's life. So whether these kind of things are going on, is there sufficient participation of individuals? And if every individual is feeling that they are contributing in that decision-making process, if they feel that their voices are not heard, obviously their mental health would be affected. Is there sufficient working flexibility to work from home, for example, or what kind of support can they be given to manage that work-life balance? Because in the end, it is the work that you need to get it done rather than how it is getting done. There might be unclear tasks or objectives. Sometimes some individuals might not be suitable for a particular kind of task. If you know that, can that task be given to someone else? Just support that individual in that particular way. Is the task demand too high? Or the study requirements is too high, the assignment submissions, the homework, are they too high for the students? So just consider what is going on in the college situation. Is there unfair distribution of group work, like between the colleagues, only a particular group or clique is getting all the work and other person or other group has no way to make any progression in their career. So what is happening there? Is there bullying and psychological harassment going on? And all these factors, they contribute to your mental health. So here, I'm just going to ask you to give some idea. You don't have to respond in a desirable way. How you have felt or how you have done. So just try to reflect on that. Whether you would give a sympathetic consideration to individuals or have you been given, you can, of course, choose more than one option from here. Okay? Okay. I will be closing this in a moment. So if you have anything to put in. Okay. So that everyone seems to have very positive experience. So that's a wonderful situation to have. That's brilliant. Very nice. Okay. So other aspect of mental health is the, earlier in the introduction that has been touched upon, that there is a very close link between physical and mental health. And some of the striking findings are that around 30% of all people with long-term physical health will have some sort of mental health problem. And most commonly, that would be depression or anxiety. So let's say those most common problems, diabetes will certainly have, many individuals will have those mental health problems that could be related to relationship problems, that could be depression. Similarly, if you think of any heart-related condition, again, they have been found to have high level of anxiety and depression. So if we consider any of a physical problem, there would be mostly some sort of associated mental health problems. But the question is, how many of us do try to seek help if we have a physical health problem as well as mental health problem, and we are trying to seek help from a mental health professional? Probably none in most of the cases. And in fact, if you look at the research, if you also address mental health problem, then the recovery is much better. I went to the extent that even in surgical conditions, where surgical outcome seems to be much better if you address mental health problems of that individual. But still we are lacking quite a bit in that regard. Other feature that you might have come across, that what we understand by mental illness is that, or particularly that is to some extent my understanding is that mental illness is is an illness which is very much similar to any physical illnesses. Here, to a striking example. Here you have a healthy heart. The activity in the heart looks quite normal. What is happening in the diseased heart? You see the functional activity of the heart is not so good, right? Similarly, in a healthy brain, your brain is active, it is metabolizing everything nicely, and you see all those activities quite nicely, particularly in the front part of the brain. Whereas if someone has, let's say, some kind of addiction, their brain responses is not so healthy. It has reduced functionality, very much similar to that you see in a heart condition. The diseased heart has reduced functionality. And in that context, I try to suggest that if we shall treat mental illness as any kind of physical illness. There is no separation between mental illness and physical illness. It is just the organ or the system of the body that is being affected that is different. Many a times we might not have overt signs and symptoms, but if you look deep down through sophisticated measures, you will find these kind of differences much more visible at a physical level. So, try to not make those distinction much so into physical health and mental health, because each of these will have effect on each other. So if you want to improve your mental health, certainly you also improve your physical health. Fit you are, the better you will feel. And those physical activity being outdoors, you pay attention on your food or the diet that you are taking. You are not becoming overweight or going into those obesity range. Are you having a healthy lifestyle? Are you drinking too much? Are you smoking too many cigarettes, for example? Are you having adequate rest and sleep? Because sleep seems to be the most striking system that get affected by any kind of mental health problem. So have adequate rest and sleep, and that will be quite useful. Uh, so we know that, and all of us are trying to do something here for betterment of mental health. So just think from your own perspective, either in the workplace or in the community, what is it that you'd like to do to prevent something that can prevent mental health problems? So if you can give me your thoughts here, please. Um, I will be closing this response system in a moment. So if you have to give any thought, please let me have quickly. Okay, so now I'm going to close this. Okay, so that's quite interesting. So probably many people are talking about awareness, which is what we are doing. So that's great, wonderful. Uh, Someone is suggesting environment and counseling, and they will try to listen. They will try to have some interaction. So that's quite useful to understand. And in that context, that is what we all are doing here. We are creating an awareness about mental health issues, and we will take this forward in our communities or the workplace, that how workplace culture that can be enhanced to minimize mental health problems, or within the community what that we can do, even not as a professional but as a layperson within the community, but much more aware about the mental health issues. What are those things that we can do? I talked about the bullying and victimization and harassment. If you think of the school setting or even in your friends group, typically you might be able to see that there are one or two or person who are always being bullied, and just think about the consequences in their life that will happen. We try to latch on someone who we think that for any reason seems to be vulnerable. Either their family background, either their financial status, either their social status, and then we take that for granted that we can just say anything to that person. But the consequences are immense for those individuals. It might not be reflected to you, but even those simple things, if we can start paying attention to that, what is happening in our group, can we minimize these kind of interactions? That would be quite useful within the community too. Okay. Well, now I'm just trying to move you for you to understand if someone is experiencing any mental health issues. How will you recognize that? So just look for some warning signs. Either in the workplace or in the college, is there any sudden change in work or study habits? Has productivity gone down? Is that individual showing poor motivation? Is there a concentration problem? We talked about this concentration problem in the case that we discussed earlier. So these are the warning signs. It is not that that particular individual is just trying to be unproductive, not being helpful. That individual had been helpful, had been productive, but there is a sudden change. And you must try to understand why that change has happened to that individual. Look for the personality-related changes. Are there any dramatic change like becoming quite restless, becoming nervous? There are sudden outbursts. Individual is getting socially withdrawn. So these would be the telltale sign that you can look for. Just try to see whether that particular staff or a student, they have started missing meetings, they have been calling in sick more often than they used to, are they starting their work late, or are the students not submitting any assignment, they are not coming for any parties, the student gathering. So what is happening with that individual? Try to find out. This might be some of the early warning signs. It may not be full-blown mental illness, but it might be something is happening with that individual. And as a concerned friend or mentor or supervisor or a colleague, please pay attention to those changes. So check with them. How is their sleep, or has there been any change in their appetite? Because as I said before, the sleep would be the most common thing that is affected in almost every cases. Has there been any mood change? Have they started feeling sad? They are feeling low? Or there could be opposite to that, that they are feeling very high, very enthusiastic all the time. And these are more sudden changes. Social withdrawal we talked about. Has there been any increased sensitivity that someone is touching them and they are suddenly feeling a struggle with that? They are showing sensitivity to light or sound. So has there been any those kind of changes to that individual? How is their motivation? We talked about, are they motivated to submit their assignments? Are they motivated to come to the meetings or social gatherings? No. Are they apathetic to such things? So what is happening? Any unusual or odd behavior? I can share when I was in Delhi University, some of my friends, they used to live in Mukherjee Nagar, as everyone does there. And that time I did not recognize, and that's why I'm trying to share this, that how we missed out. So a friend of ours, he would say that where he was living, other persons are getting against him, they are trying to harm him for odd reasons, that they do not like that he has come from a particular background. Then he moved to a different place, and there again he complained to a similar kind of behavior. As a concerned friend, what we did, we went and tried to intervene in a much more confrontational way to all those individuals. We did not recognize that time that a friend of ours was experiencing a mental health breakdown. You can think about what kind of mental health breakdown that could be. But we did not recognize, I did not recognize, because we did not have much awareness, even though I was doing my psychology degree. But we were not sensitized to look for these kind of telltale signs. Okay. So, what are those typical mental health conditions that you will encounter in as a concerned fellow citizen or friend? Obviously, a stress that comes at the top, at the lower spectrum of mental health problem, and that can happen due to some internal factors. That person is having low self-esteem for any reason that person can have, their upbringing, trauma, or anything that may have led to that. What are those environmental factors that are leading to that individual experiencing stress? Are there any relationship problems? Are there high noise level? Is there something in the workplace that is causing stress? There could be excessive workload. There could be bullying that we talked about. Is that individual being paid enough? Or is that individual considering that I'm being paid for my ability? If not, then there is a problem. Is that individual concerned about job loss? Or many times people are hired on ad hoc basis. So is there a system in plan for them to support beyond that ad hoc time period? How we are going to address this? Suddenly, if they are not getting any pay, what is going to happen to their life? Consider that if they are dependent on someone, or are someone else dependent on that person. Is that person feeling isolated within that work environment? That there are certain groups being formed, and that person is not part of any of those groups. So just be vigilant about those things. So here, I would like to have your ideas that what do you think that you feel can cause a stress to you, or how would you relieve those stress? Okay. How am I doing with my time? If any can let me know, please. So, Ruchi, how am I doing with my time?
Yeah, 5 to 7 minutes more.
5 to 7, okay. Okay, so I will try to move it quickly. Let's see, I'm going to close this now. Okay, so you know that some students they are talking about the exam is a stressful situation, performance, how they are going to perform, sleep-related problems. They would listen to music. They would talk and share their thoughts. So that's good. So there is awareness. That's what all we are talking about. Uh, Other common problems that you will come across is that individuals are feeling anxious or worrying, and those the signs could be that they are showing dryness of mouth, palpitations, sweating. Um, yes. Okay, can you go and ask me, please? Uh, and these anxieties could be much more generalized, that they are worried about little things and issues all the time in their daily life. Or they can be very specific to some social situation, like talking to anyone else, or particularly talking to superiors or supervisors, talking on phone. At times, even that is observed in eating in front of others. Sometimes they might not like to see you what you are they are writing, and obviously there could be some specific phobias that someone is afraid of height, or someone is scared of going in the dark. This could be very specific ones. Panic disorders would be very much sudden and intense fear or anxiety. Obsessive compulsive disorder would be some individuals, they will keep doing things again and again. They will try to check if they have locked their door or not, um, or the light is off or not. So they will have a continuous pattern of doing things repeatedly, or washing their hands. And the post-traumatic stress disorder would be associated with some intense anxiety related to some traumatic event that they have experienced or even witnessed. Other common mental health problem you will come across would be a depression. That person is feeling low, have sad mood, they have changes in sleep pattern, they are feeling quite low within themselves, their self-esteem is quite poor. And you might say that there are more female they are experiencing depression than to male, but there are different ways to understand that men might experience those depressive symptoms in a different way, that they are becoming more risk takers, using alcohol or gambling as a escape way. So that, just focus on those things. And depression has been considered the fourth most leading cause of disability. And it will have around 13% of individuals experiencing depression at any point of time. So that's quite prevalent. Schizophrenia, not very typically we might come across, but their person loses sense of a distinction between reality and imagination. And the friend that I was talking about, he had schizophrenia that we did not recognize at that time. So, what we can do if someone is facing a mental health crisis? First thing, listen to them without making any judgments. So listening is the best medicine for them at that time. Try to concentrate on their immediate needs. How can you help what they are trying to deal with that situation? If there is any physical wound or anything, whether you can help with that. Can you take them to a quiet area? Ask them to relax. Just ask also them that what would help them, and try to be reassuring, you can signpost them to practical information. Like you can say that, okay, you can go on, talk to that side. He seems to be very good at dealing with it. Or if there is a welfare officer, or if there is a counselor, whether you can suggest that individual to go there. Certainly, avoid confrontation and ask if you can contact someone for them. And of course, encourage them to seek help from appropriate professional. If they are hearing or seeing things which would be a sign of psychotic breakdown, remind them that you are there and do not dismiss their experience and neither reinforce them. Okay. Just say that, okay, we will look after this, but first try to organize everything for them. And how will you have those conversations? Give that individual as much time as they need to explain the issues. Make sure you focus on what the individual has to say and remain open-minded and don't judge the individual. Be aware that what they tell you may be unexpected or even shocking. If, let's say, someone is going to talk about some traumatic experience in their life, that could be physical, sexual, psychological, just be prepared. And you also be prepared that how you are going to react to those revelations. If you can, try to find out anything that might be causing that problem. Is there a relationship issue? Is that person had a fight with someone? So whether is the person is worried about not submitting assignment on time? Is there a thing in place to give some extra time to that individual? So is there anything that can support that individual? Okay. And of course, if you think more time is required to seek advice or think about the problem, explain this to the individual. Gain their agreement and arrange another meeting at a later date if possible. Okay. Having their consent is quite crucial here. So don't try to do anything for which they do not agree. And you can provide those in terms of short-term support, like prioritizing their workloads, what they should prioritize, give them some extra break, reduce workload temporarily. And in long term, if there is a serious mental health issue, just consider whether they need time off from work or study. Consider the effects of illness and medication, that some of the medication that will make them drowsy, that will make them not able to concentrate fully. So consider those effects and try not to force them to return to work or study before they are ready, primarily. And always try to maintain a positive contact with them and their family so that when they come back, they can feel very much part of that team. Okay. I'm not going to look at this, but some of the positive relationship that we can foster around would be, let's say, if we can have a trust, effective communication style, we have patience, empathy. There are so many positive things that we can think about, and all these things seems to work as a protective factor towards mental breakdown. How we can develop respect, or is there some reciprocity in our behavior and interaction? So just think about all those things and how all these things can be fostered upon. Just I'm trying to give you a case summary. Here, let's say a person is Vivek, and witnessed a road traffic accident when a close friend of his was seriously injured in that road traffic accident. And Vivek has experienced symptoms of anxiety and depression and sometimes has flashbacks and panic attacks. He has been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder and is on medication, right? So here you are considering two things. One, the characteristic of the disorder, that it might have those flashbacks and patient might experience intense anxiety suddenly. And person would be on certain medication which would be uh, possibly causing some drowsiness. Or might be taking some sleep related medication. So what effect that might have? Okay, so think about all those. And then this condition means that he may have absence from work when his symptoms are particularly bad. He may also experience panic attacks at work. Uh, Being in a college, there would be management practices, and then some management would have spoken to Vivek and come up with a series of adjustments that will help to support him. He will move to an office that is away from the roadside, which may set off panic attacks or flashbacks because whenever there is any screeching halt of a car or any vehicle, suddenly you experience those kind of flashbacks and panic. The organization has created a quiet area where Vivek and other employees can spend quiet breaks at work. This will help Vivek manage his anxiety at work. The organization has relaxed their flexible working scheme so that he can take some time off for appointment to manage his symptoms. So all those things you can do to address an individual's mental health need. You can provide a computer for Vivek to work from home, and there are so many things that you can do. This was just an example that I shared. Because the impact of that mental health condition that will have not only on self, that individual, but it will also affect their family, their friends and colleagues. It will affect the learning and education. It will affect work and employment. It will affect day-to-day living. So it has profound effect on every aspect of someone's life. And that's why we shall think this in a way where we shall be able to support those individuals. And the final message to you all is that please look after you and your loved ones, colleagues, friends, and employees' mental health. This is very critical. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, sir. It was really an insightful presentation. I really feel that we all learned how to recognize signs of mental illness among our friends, among our colleagues, and to be more aware about it. And perhaps through that, we may be able to lend a helping hand towards them. So now, it's time to address the queries of our lovely audience who have been patiently listening to the lecture with rapt attention. I would like to request Sarika Malik ma'am to kindly take up the questions of the participants which have been posted in the chat box.
You are muted.
Sarika,
Thanks, Anushka. Good evening, everyone. Thanks a lot, sir, for highly interactive, knowledgeable, and motivating session. I am sure the young and budding minds, truly inspired by your words, their enthusiasm to extract more from you is reflecting from their responses in chat box. Sir, now can we go for the queries appeared in the chat box?
Yeah, sure, please.
Thank you, sir. First question is asked by Larva, and she is willing for: are there any topics of conversation one should avoid to remain stress-free?
So the question is if you should avoid any conversation on any specific topic when you are dealing with individual who are experiencing mental health crisis.
Yes, sir.
No, so the main issue is that you have to be there to listen to them, whatever they are going to tell you. So the moment you try to switch it off yourself for any reason, like, no, this is not what I'm going to do, probably that is not going to be effective. So the best thing is listen, and that solves a lot of problems. And the moment they realize that you are there for them to listen to you, their thoughts, not interpreting that, oh, he's saying or she's saying in this way, what that you just recognize that I'm here to listen for you. In psychological practice, what we used to call it as catharsis. So it's an uninterrupted way of letting the emotion out. And often what happens that if an individual is given an opportunity to express their views or thoughts, many times half of the problem is solved. So I won't say that you should say that I'm not going to listen these kind of things. Keep yourself open to listen everything, but just be aware that there might be certain things which might distress you. Like I talked about certain revelations or some trauma that someone might have experienced. So yes, there might be some situations, but try to understand that how you are going to address those kind of situations if that comes out.
Thanks, sir. Next question asked by Vijay. If we recognize signs of depression in any of our friends and that person is reluctant to seek professional help, how do we help that person?
No, that's a very nice question, and this myself I have come across this situation many times. You will have to understand why that person is not willing to go for any professional help. Is it a stigma? Is it some kind of fear of being revealed within the colleagues or the professional setups or within a friend circle? Is it the financial situation that is keeping that individual away from seeking help? So there must be some reason. There isn't anything which hasn't got a reason for that person not to seek help. So there must be some reason. And the moment you understand that reason, and if you can work around those reasons, that person will be very amenable to. Often, individuals they say that if I let's say for a depression, if I start taking medication now, probably I'm going to be on medication lifelong. That I don't want to be. But the thing is that that particular individual is not in a position to decide whether he or she is going to be on medication for lifelong. It might be a very short medication, but consider also the effect that why someone will not take medication for mental health problem, but they will take medication for a physical health problem. We do not say that if I have diabetes, I'm not going to take medication because I'm going to be on insulin lifelong. No one says that. Everyone takes. So if you try to give these kind of analogies to that individual, that might break down those barriers of seeking help. Did that address the question?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Next question is raised by Uditi. She is willing to know how can we cure our mental health issues, as in I can divert my mind for some times between eventually after some time I stuck to the same issue. So can you suggest some permanent cure?
The honest answer would be not at this moment unless I know fully that what exactly are those problems. So sometimes I talked about is that a disorder or not? So first thing that I will have to address that is many times those in obsessive compulsive disorder, for example, people have same kind of thoughts coming again and again, which is quite distressing. They try to stop it, but they can't. Some images that can keep flashing. Let's say someone has a thought that I'm going to hit someone. Okay, and that kind of distressing thought that keeps coming and keeps coming. Probably the solution in that case would be seek a professional help because that might be a disorder. Other individuals at very low spectrum, what we call as rumination, and typically that happens in depression. They brood over certain issues. They will just think over going back past. There I would suggest, okay, here the strategy might be slightly different. What is that being, that person is ruminating about? Can we address those issues? If that is because of the depression, we will address the depression. If that is just some interpersonal issues, then we will address the interpersonal issue. You cannot stop the thought to come to you just like that. You will have to address the wider issues around that.
Thanks, sir. Reena asked, what are the major causes for this tremendous increase in mental ailments?
I'm not sure whether there is increase in mental illness or ailments as such. Statistics doesn't show that. And neither it shows that there are like differences in Eastern versus Western countries where the stress level might be slightly different. Or it seems that at least those severe mental health conditions, they have almost similar kind of prevalence across every places, across every time. It might be that we are recognizing better, and as we can see that now we are much more aware about mental health issues than we were before, and therefore we will seek help much quickly than we used to seek before. What used to happen before, particularly if you think of Indian context, people used to take to some mistakes or some temple or dargah, and we didn't used to consider them as mental illness. But in fact, they are mental illness and they should be treated as such. So the distribution and prevalence across the time domain seems to be similar. There might be 1 or 2% of the differences, but that doesn't explain that suddenly there is an overwhelming era of mental illness. It has been there. It had not been recognized. We are becoming much more aware, and we are seeking appropriate help there. So that's what is my understanding about mental illness.
Thanks, sir. Shruti wants to know if we encounter someone getting panic attack, then is there some instantaneous action which can be taken by us to calm them? Is sympathizing the person a correct way to deal in such a situation?
Yeah, so that is really very practical kind of question that we, of course we can. So first thing is that be reassuring to that person that look, you are having a panic attack. It is not very serious. You will get over this very quickly. Can you take that individual to a quiet place where that individual is not being crowded upon, has ability to deal with this situation? If that individual wants to just relax and lie down, do you have sufficient space there for that individual to relax or lie down? There are certain things, something is called panic bag, where control your ear and ask the individual to take that breath again in, because the COP concentration will help to level of the panic condition. So these are some of those things you can do immediately, but certainly reassure, take that person to a quieter place, and try to be as supportive as possible without being judgmental. And then, if possible, if there is no panic, that person can just cover their face and just breathe in and breathe out so that there is no concentration.
Thanks, sir. Time is not permitting us to take more queries. Hence, now I will take final question, and it is asked by Tejasvi. Although you answered this one, but she asked, if possible, tell some exercises also to keep ourselves focused and healthy after a tremendous workload.
Exercises. We are in a situation where we have to work, and whether you're a student or whether you're a staff, everyone has to work for their sustenance. But what you do after the work, that is critical. Do you have sufficient time to relax? Are you going to family and you are having a positive family environment? That is quite useful. If you are a student, do you have a friend circle where you can go and have a chat and have a conversation? That socialization, that is quite important. Are you going to have a good restful sleep? That is very important, because try to have a very good restful sleep. If you are not having sleep, what the issues are, and just try to work around those related issues. In the morning, again, if possible, do your exercises. If you have sleep-related problem, don't try to do exercises late in the evening or have those any stimulating thing in the evening. So these are the practical things that anyone can do, but certainly having that open, positive relationship with family and friends around, that makes life a lot of difference. I'm sure everyone agree with that.
Thanks a lot, sir. The rest of the questions will be shared with sir, and the participants, your queries will be resolved. Thank you very much, sir, for solving these queries. I'm sure now participants will definitely able to deal with any mental situation and will surely come up as winner in their life. Thanks, sir, for taking out time from your busy schedule and showering us with your very nice and worthy talk. Now, I hand over mic to Anushka. Over to you, Anushka.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir, for addressing the queries of the participants. Now, I am pleased to inform you all that today, to celebrate World Mental Health Day, the Department of Chemistry had organized an inter-college declamation contest on the topic, Impact of Online Learning on Mental Health. It was truly a delightful event, wherein all the participants mesmerized everyone with their articulate speeches and also brought forward the adverse effects of the online mode of classes that has been on the students. I'm elated to announce that we shall be conducting the final round of the declamation competition now. I request our respected eminent speaker for today, Dr. Sanjay Kumar, to kindly be present to encourage the students. The rules of the final round are as follows. Each participant will have 3 minutes to present their views on the topic, and 1 minute will be allotted to questioning by the judges. The judgment will be based on content, language, and facts. The decision of the judges will be final. So with this, I wish best of luck to all the contestants. Now, let us kickstart the final round. For the first performance, I would like to call on Bhumika, from GCW Gohana Sonipat to kindly present their speech.
A new CDC study says virtual instructions may present a serious risk to the mental health of the children. The difference is like night and day, especially for my kids. Stephanie Coquimus, a mother of two from New York City, added. And I think we have normalized this remote way of learning, and there is nothing normal about it. My warmest greetings to the judicious panel of churches, esteemed guests, and the August gathering present here. Today, I, Bhumika, want to declaim on the topic Impact of Online Learning on Mental Health. Deep wave, COVID-19, befell upon us like an impending doom. We have completed a year in front of laptops, attending classes. Initially, it was a great fun, attending classes without getting ready or rushing to temples of knowledge. But the screen time has now become overwhelming, isn't it? Just remember, just imagine. Zero social contact and sitting in front of screen for a long time have impacted our mental health. My dear, mental health is still one of the major problems everywhere that everybody talks about. But sorry to say, does not do anything. Nothing. As per the reports, 54.7% students said that distant learning had adversely affected their physical and mental health, while 33.4% students said that distant learning had strained their relationship with families. While social distancing is a good way to slow down the spread of COVID-19, but it leads to many mental health issues, starting from depression and anxiety, fatigue, migraine, phobia. Had a long count. I guess a day would not be enough to explain all. Yes, spending more than half of the day online creates mental fatigue both to the teacher and the student. Last but not the least, Dr. Kanan Girish, a psychiatrist, a psychotherapist, and a founder of Live Life Education says, what we are lacking is peer-to-peer education. Indulge yourself in positive and hopeful talks of the family, as a positive atmosphere creates a very good impact for the mental well-being of the entire family. Positive atmosphere, positive mind takes away the mental mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhumika. I would now request our respected judge, Dr. Sahib Singh, to kindly ask a question from Bhumika.
Bhumika.
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Good evening. How can we able to improve or stable our mental health under the conditions of online learning or pandemic?
So please repeat.
Bhumika, how can we able to stable or improve our mental health under the condition of online learning?
Sir, as I have told in my speech as well, that it is the positive impact, the positive talks, the hopeful talks with the family, as it is there that whenever a person is suffering from mental disorders, or if his or her mental health is not good, then the positive talks with the family, one must talk to such person. It will create a very good impact for not only for that person who is suffering from that who is not mentally well, but for all the people. It is there, sir. A positive impact creates a very good mental well-being.
Thank you, Bhumika.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Bhumika. For the next performance, I would like to call on Akansha Negi from DBS College, Dehradun, to kindly present their speech.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Today, I am Akansha Negi of DBS PG College is here to present my views regarding the topic Impact of Online Education in Mental Health. Now, I will be covering my whole discussion in 4 parts, talking from the first, which is what is online learning. So I think everyone must be familiar with that. It means when we are learning through an online mode. Now there is no such interactions with offline when we are able to see teachers in an interactive session, but now everyone has shifted towards online mediums like with phones, with laptops, with computers. Now the second impact, which is why this time online learning and mental education is in more trend. So as you all are familiar that from the last previous year we all have been suffering from corona pandemic, and due to this reason we have to shift ourselves from the offline medium to the online medium. Now, due to this reason, the cases of mental health, the negative sides of mental health are also rising. Due to this reason, this time, the online learning and impact on mental health has arisen. Now, the third aspect is impact of online education. We all know that everything in life has a positive as well as negative impact. Talking from the negative impact, first, like prolonged screen time, sharing less time with families, and becoming self isolated, feeling depression. These are the negative sides of online learning. But there are positive sides also. Like we are more open with new educators. We have lots of things to learn from the internet. We can have teachers from all over India, internationally also. We can communicate with them through live seminars. We have a group discussion. These are the positive sides of online education. But when we don't consider the negative sides, when we don't consider its negative side, then it becomes harmful for us. At last, I will be concluding by saying that we should always know that if there are positive sides of technology, then there are negative sides also. And to make ourselves efficient, we should use technology in an efficient way. And because of this reason, due to this reason also, our mental health will also improve. Just like in the discussion, Sir has already told us, there are different things we can do to improve our mental health, like we can share more time with our families, we can indulge ourselves in extracurricular activities to stay positive. And at last, I will be summing my whole view by saying a positive thought that we always try to be positive in life. Everything happens for a reason, but if we are positive, we can tackle every situation. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Akansha. Now, I would request our respected judge, Dr. Seema Dahiya, to kindly ask a question from Akansha.
Okay, yes. Akansha beta.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, beta. Okay, will you please tell me what do you think? What aspects of the changes in learning approaches because of the COVID-19 do you think it will continue after the pandemic also?
Yes, ma'am. As we have seen in history, also, if there is a new condition which is evolving, we always humans have a tendency to get adapt with that situation. So, in this Corona times, also we have learned a new way of learning to interact, which is online medium. So, I think that after this Corona pandemic, also things will be shifted from offline to offline, but not fully. I just want to say that there will be new ideas which will be created through online mode, and it will be with offline teaching. Online medium will also be promoted. That will be the thing. I think in future may happen.
Okay, it means you think blended mode will be followed later on also.
Yes, ma'am, they will be blended together, and we will have a joining of those offline as well as online classes. This is my opinion.
Okay, fine, beta. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am, and thank you, Akansha, for your lovely performance. For the next contestant, I would like to call on Nandini Sharma from Gargi College, University of Delhi. I request you to kindly present your speech.
Thank you so much. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are, Nandini.
All right, thank you. Greetings, everyone. I'm Nandini Sharma, a sophomore student at Gargi College. I'd like to present my views on impact of online learning on mental health. Novel coronavirus came into our lives a year and a half ago, and saying that it changed the world would be an understatement. It had suddenly put a dramatic pause to our very enduring, moving way of being. The world, in one way or another, came to a standstill, and then came an year of Zoom burnout, mass profiteering, and what I assume to be unreasonable and funny, the virtual yoga. Life as we knew it changed. Educational institutions shifted to online teaching, and this change in the beginning felt rather very enticing, comfortable, and convenient for students, parents, as well as teachers. But with the sudden halt to in person learning, many students missed interaction with friends, yearned to get out of the four walls, developed inconsistent sleep and food habits, and very often drove their parents crazy. Moreover, many also dealt with the trauma of loss of their loved ones, economic crisis, and various other changes to the lives they once had. I wish to ask all of the students present here, how many of you seriously attended the classes with full concentration? How many of you do not get distracted by social media or games during the classes? How many of you aren't eating food or munching chips and chocolates as the teacher teaches? Who out of all of you has not ever muted the class and dozed off to sleep? There would hardly be one or two of such students because it is really very difficult. There are many reasons online learning affects our mental being. First one being lack of interaction and social isolation. Our education starts with interaction, friendship, and fun memories. And then comes the learning part. We are all social animals and need social interactions. But no, COVID 19 has left a complete void in our lives with complete social isolation. Other reason is loss of interest. Our concentration level has dropped as our mind wanders elsewhere, and on top of that, pressure to complete assignments and produce required results has led us to succumb into pressure. The third reason is fatigue from online mode. Exhaustion after having attended online classes and video conferences, and the drastic increase in screen time has been very problematic. It is important to understand that teachers and parents are affected too. There are many teachers for whom technology hasn't been their best asset, but still they are good teachers having a lot of experience. In such cases, the additional workload and fear of not being able to deliver quality content to students becomes problematic. I would like to conclude by saying that it feels like we are at the beginning of an end waiting for a new beginning. I just hope that the beginning is positive and heals all of us from this trauma. Thank you.
Thank you, Nandini. Now I would request Dr. Seema Dahiya ma'am to kindly ask a question from Nandini.
Okay, hello, beta Nandini.
A very good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, beta. Okay, you well explained everything about the negative aspect and the positive aspect and everything about it, how this fatigueness and the screen time all are affecting our mental health. So, can you suggest ways to relieve the stress or lessen the impact of online learning?
Yes, ma'am, definitely. This online mode has definitely increased our screen time because all the classes are conducted online, which has led to fatigue, of course. In such times, things that can help us reduce that tension and fatigue can be interacting with our family members and friends. Going out in nature, I believe that nature is the best healer. So, going out in nature, seeing the greenery, and breathing in meditation, it can all help us reduce that fatigue. Apart from that, it's a part of nature. The animals, if we all have pets, they are the best stress reliever, I believe. So such things can help us reduce our fatigue and all the tension and make a good impact on our mental health.
Okay, beta, thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am, and thank you, Nandini, for your wonderful performance. For the next contestant, I would like to call on Aisha from DAV PG College, Dehradun. Aisha, I request you to kindly present your speech.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Yes, we can start.
Yes, yeah.
Whether an illness
affects your heart, your leg, or your brain, it is still an illness, and there should be no distinction. It's time to flip the script on mental health. It's time to tell everyone who is dealing with mental health that they are not alone, and getting support and treatment isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. Well said by Michelle Obama. Good evening, respected jury, respected teachers, and my dear friend. Today, I, Aisha Bijalwan, representing DAV College, is here to give my views on the current topic, impact of online learning on mental health. Mental health has come to focus in pandemic times like never before, as people of all age groups and occupation have to bear the brunt of the new normal. Suicide is the second leading cause of death among 15 to 29 years of age as per the World Health Organization. In recent years, there has been an increase in the acknowledgement of the impact of mental health, as can be seen by including it in the Sustainable Development Goals for all the countries. Mental health crisis is blooming, as 93% of the country's health structure has been affected. As it is reflected in the current theme of Mental Health Day, that is mental health in an unequal world. India's suicide rate for 2019 was 12.70. That is an increase of 0.79% from that of last year. 115 million children have been affected due to online education because they have been led to malnourishment due to effect in the midday meals. 2.5 million girls, yes, my dear friends, 2.5 million girls have been affected, as they have to feel the drudgeries of the child marriage, domestic violence, child labor, which affects their psychological, social, and physical well-being, and indirectly impacting our economy, our growth, because today's youth is the future of tomorrow. With starting with the demography, we have half of the Indian population under the age of 25 years. That is, India is a young country with an average age of 28 years. It is a good acknowledgement, as at the time when all other countries are aging. As in upcoming years, US would be 40, China would be 40, and Japan would be in 47 years. So we are the workforce mechanism of the world, ready to transform the world. The Mental Health Care Act 2017 decriminalizes suicide, assuring adequate medical facilities to all those attempting it. It's a very good initiative which would help our youth to overcome stress. So good mental health is absolutely fundamental to overall health and well-being. Well said by WHO Director General. I have no doubt that challenges are enormous, but there is solution to everything. International labor organization stated that 160 million people are in the working age group. That's good for our future. So the world, we are ready. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Aisha. Now, I would like to request our respected judge, Dr. Shivani Patnaik, to kindly ask a question from Aisha.
Good evening, Aisha.
Good evening, ma'am.
Aisha, how do you think that children will be able to continue with their studies if online classes are not conducted owing to the current scenario?
Thank you, ma'am, for your question. As online education is not our choice, it's a priority nowadays, as due to the current scenario. But everything has a solution. So coming from the confusion to the conclusion, we have switched to online classes. But as we can see that many section of the people have been lagging behind due to online education. But currently we can if not online education, then we can have community centers imparting educations, and there should be an approach to the lowest, not to the highest. Like we should see the ground level, like whether our policies are reaching the ground level people. We should follow the steps like the Supreme Court ordered that Delhi government should provide tablets and mobile phones to the people who do not have access to the online education. So it's a very good decision. So we need to work on that. And if they have problems regarding mental issues, so as WHO says that every $1 spent on the treatment for anxiety and depression has the outcome of $5. So we should go for that also. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Aisha.
Thank you, ma'am, for your question.
Thank you, ma'am. And thank you, Aisha, for your lovely performance.
Thank
Last
Anushka.
but not the least, I would like to call on the next and the last finalist for today, Reena Sharma from Ramjas College, University of Delhi.
इसको नंबर दी मैंने आइशा हाँ ये नंबर
May I confirm if I am visible and audible?
Yes, Reena, you are.
Okay, thank you. I would like to start by verbalizing my self-created lines. Classroom benches, chalk, duster, labs. I find them vanishing. It was such an interactive lecture. Actually, this statement is missing. Let's come meet and discuss our doubts in library. Actually, this has become a fading memory. Learning from books, appreciating teachers' look, everything is becoming imaginary. Mental health is not a destination but a process. It's about how you drive, not where you are going. Let us elaborate on the impact of online learning on our mental health. The horrifying societal cases of students like Aishwarya from University of Delhi reveal and impart much about this mental impact. COVID-19 pandemic has proven to be a major disruptive aspect of human life. It took an increasing toll on various spheres of our life. The education system was hit hard by the pandemic, and to continue the process of learning, teaching plus technology was accepted as the source of distance learning. Online learning has been the best substitute for physical classes, but its impact on the mental health cannot be neglected. As mentioned in the European Journal of Social and Behavioral Sciences, almost 30% of the students experience anxiety as a result of pandemic. Online education has generated immense disruption among parents and students. Grubic et al. 2020 highlighted that restrictive learning conditions associated with online platform are bound to result in increased stress and negative academic consequences. Other reasons given for the increase in the anxiety level are lack of experience regarding the application of online learning methods, existence of wide array of distractions, inadequacy of learning approaches, lack of peer-to-peer and peer-to-instructor interaction, digital divide faced by the financially weaker section, lack of confidence, lack of mental preparedness, and mental environment of learning. The correlation between poverty and stress is also being strengthened by the online classes. According to the survey done by Lee 2020, 80% of the students experience psychological stress due to e-line crackup and 20% suffer due to lack of guidance and counseling. The emission of radiations from excessive exposure to devices also contribute to this issue. So there is a need to make concerted efforts to ensure that this valuable alternative is equally accessible for all the learners, and its implementation should optimize learning. I would like to conclude by saying that just because you cannot see mental illness like you could see a broken bone doesn't mean that it is not as detrimental and devastating to an individual or family. Thank you. Stay healthy mentally and physically. Meditate and focus. Have a good day.
Thank you, Reena. It was indeed a lovely, lovely performance. Now, I would like to request our respected judge, Dr. Samarpal Singh, to kindly ask a question from Reena.
Thank you, Anushka. So, Reena, my simple question to you is online education is promoting cheating or academic dishonesty in students' mind? And if your answer is yes, so please explain why.
Good evening.
videos as and when their names are announced. Without further ado, let me introduce you to the third position of this contest. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly give her a huge round of applause. Nandini Sharma.
Thank you so much.
Please put your hands together for the first runner-up of this contest, who is none other than Bhumika. Bhumika, please switch on your camera. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to acknowledge the pioneer and the vanguard, the first position of this contest, who is Akanksha Negi. And with this, we come to the end of this memorable evening. A heartiest congratulations to all the winners. I would also like to thank all the participants who graced this event by their presence. My sincere gratitude to the judges of today's contest, Dr. Sahib Singh, Dr. Samarpal Singh, Dr. Seema Dahiya, and Dr. Shivani Patnaik, who spared time from their busiest schedules to grace the occasion. Now, I'd like to invite Dr. Suruchi ma'am, convener of the workshop, Department of Chemistry, to kindly propose the vote. Aisha, you are requested to kindly mute yourself. Now, I'd like to invite Dr. Suruchi ma'am, convener of the workshop, Department of Chemistry, Ramjas College, to kindly propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Sanidhya. Honorable Speaker, respected Principal Sir, IQAC Coordinator, and dear participants. On behalf of Chemistry Department, Ramjas College, I feel immense pleasure to take this opportunity to propose a vote of thanks to our eminent speaker, Dr. Sanjay Kumar, who took time from his busy schedule to grace this workshop with his extremely relevant address on understanding mental health crisis and dealing with it. He rightly talked about mental health and its impact on human behavior. The session will definitely help the students to make optimal use of mind power and inner potential. Even I feel that we can extract best from ourselves by following the tips that you shared. You have created a good spark and gave new insights to mental well-being and breaking the negative belief system. I am sure a collective approach would definitely help us regulate and manage our mental health better. Once again, thank you so much, sir. I take this opportunity to express my deep regards and gratitude to our principal, Dr. Manoj Kumar Khanna, for always encouraging us and providing opportunities to organize such events. I would specially thank our Vice Principal and IQAC Coordinator for rendering us with all possible logistic support towards organizing this workshop. I express my humble thanks to Dr. Sahib Singh, Dr. Seema Dahiya, Dr. Shivani Patnaik, and Dr. Samarpal Singh for doing judgment in the declamation contest. You have provided us with valuable support in enriching the workshop. I heartily congratulate the winners and participants for their active participation in the declamation contest. I sincerely thank organizing members, Dr. Savita and Dr. Sarika, for their valuable suggestions and working closely to mark this function with success. I also thank the student coordinators, Anushka and Sanidhya, who really worked hard to make this event successful. My deep sense of appreciation and gratitude to all the participants who attended the workshop with great enthusiasm. Here I conclude with these lines. बिंदास मुस्कुराओ क्या गम है, बिंदास मुस्कुराओ क्या गम है, जिंदगी में टेंशन किसको कम है। अच्छा या बुरा ये तो केवल भ्रम है, जिंदगी का नाम ही कभी खुशी कभी गम है। Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening ahead.
Thank you, ma'am, for your kind words. All of you are now requested to kindly fill the feedback form which has been posted in the chat box. I also request all the participants to kindly switch on their cameras for a group photograph.
Mishra, would you please stop presenting? That would be better, I would say.
Thank you, everyone. So, with this note, we hereby come to the end of the program. Thank you for being such patient listeners. I am truly elated. It was an honor to be present with all of you. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you so much. It was really a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, all of you.